Actually, ICTA has been working with startup Genome from 2016. Sri Lanka was featured in the startup ecosystem report in 2017, and again we were featured in 2020. And here we are today, contributing to the COVID-19 startup ecosystem series, and we are also involved in we have given our support to a survey on the COVID-19 impact on the tech startups in Sri Lanka. Before concluding my segment of the presentation, I quickly want to take two snapshots from the global startup ecosystem reports. The first one is from the 2017 report. I just only want to feature one fact there. The ecosystem value had been $32 million in 2017. And if you go to a snapshot from the 2020 report, it has grown to 117 million US dollars. So within 3 years, the ecosystem has grown virtually roughly by 4 times. And before I hand over to my colleague to go into further details on the impact on the COVID-19 on the startups, I would like to end up showing you the main startup industry verticals. You can see a lot of players in our ecosystem, and the ecosystem is well supported at the moment, and ICTA is driving this. So with that, I will hand over to my colleague Sachindra to move on with more insights on the impact of COVID-19. Thank you.
Thank you, Mahinda. Hi, everyone. Once again, thank you for having us here. We are really glad to share our experience of being part of the Genome membership for almost 4 years, and especially this year being a pivotal year on how things are changing over the world. So as soon as Genome
Sachindra, you are breaking up a little bit.
announced that they're doing a survey to understand how they could handle okay, I'll repeat that. There was very good synergy between Genome and ICTA in terms of what we want to do through a data-driven decision-making process. And with the reports, you will see in what I'm presenting that every decision that we've taken is based on the data that we gathered through the COVID survey. Starting with this as an example, we realized that 88% of the Sri Lankan startups were facing a red zone, and they had less than 4 months of cash runway. And therefore, we expedited a process that we started back in October to list the startups of Sri Lanka into one platform. The platform is called Startup SL, so that we can funnel all the benefits and the recovery strategies to one particular list, giving tech startups a definition, taking them and or giving them a significant recognition to SMEs in the country. And one of the things that we've done is working with AWS to provide them $1,000 worth of cloud credits to all 270 startups which are registered here. And this became a vehicle for many other entities to support what they call tech startups. Because when we present data, this is the cash flow problem. They say, how can we support? And we say, go to Startup SL. This is a list of companies, and this is how you can funnel your support through them. Spiralation is a tech incubator, which ICT has run for almost 10 years. And even this year, we were going to run it the same way, in the same model, supporting companies or supporting budding entrepreneurs to take them from ideation to MVP. And our usual criteria is to support budding entrepreneurs up to 2 years. If it's a startup, up to 2 years. So this year, with this data coming out, that 44% of the startups in Sri Lanka are looking to government to help their company liquidity, and about 81% of startups in Sri Lanka, our markets are either entirely closed or affected significantly. So with this data, we made a significant change in our incubator selection process. we expanded our selection process from startups or budding entrepreneurs for less than 2 years to include startups from 3 to 5 years. For us, this was a significant change because when we usually get 50 applications, this year we got 117 applications. And this opened up support, taking from what Stephan said, not only to support the budding entrepreneurs, but also support the startups that we have been building all these years, putting a lot of effort to building them to help them survive. So startups which are in the age of 3 to 5 years also applied and have got the grant, they are in the program, and we are able to help them with various needs that they have. We have included our cohort size from 16 to 35. Mind you, this is by keeping the being agile as possible with resources that we have, but doubling our numbers, more than doubling to a cohort of 35, and getting support from other organizations like AWS, Facebook, Oracle to utilize their credits, and organizations like Deloitte and the startup pitch contest to open markets so that the closed markets in Sri Lanka, the companies, the startups will get more opportunities, at least in foreign markets. So we are trying our best possible based on this data to support as much as startups as possible in genome terms to save them, while supporting the new ones who can grow in a post-COVID market to build their MVP. With this data point of understanding that almost 45% of Sri Lankan startups have either laid off part-timers or consultants, or have not been able to pay their salaries in full, we took an approach of working with the government. So this was before ICTA came under the president. We started initiating discussions, dialogues with the government, and now we are in a process of formulating a report to be presented to the president himself on removing all impediments that are there for startups to start and then for them to grow, and also looking at the interesting area of alternative creditworthiness, which we want to debate with banks on how we can provide that support as well. We are also discussing on startup friendly national procurement guidelines, looking at can we give startups exclusive rights to certain government procurements less than a particular threshold. And all of this came into play because we presented this data and the fact that we need to save our startups. We have a goal of having 1,000 startups in our ecosystem by 2024. And this is not only about increasing numbers, but also retaining the startups that we already have. So that was well understood with the data points that we presented to them. And that helped us a lot. We also work with NVQSA is a awards program in Sri Lanka, which for a startup cost about 12,500 to apply, but based with the data being presented, they brought it down to 5,000 rupees. We also work with other funding agencies with this data to get support for startup initiatives. And this is not only happening in Colombo, but also different parts of the country. I've given an example where a business center is being set up in the northern province to support startups there. So the data that was collected helped us a lot for that. Sri Lanka overall handled the situation in a fair manner. And as you see, we also are featured in certain media as handling it well, and some lessons that can be learned through the Sri Lankan ecosystem. And startups at that point onwards were involved with the government, providing tracking applications, providing government notices and other, becoming the one platform which is giving out the notices, providing video consultation, tying up with the Ministry of Health, and providing delivery services. So all the startups, they sometimes pivoted or gave their same service, tying up with government free of charge when during COVID. And there was a good collaboration with the government and startups. And because of the fact that Sri Lanka has or is dealing with the situation in a fair manner, we are positive that our vision of being a digital nomad destination, there is a forecast of 1 billion digital nomads by 2035 could be real. I'll show you one particular example that Sri Lanka was stamped by the Travel and Tourism Council recently, or 2 days back, as a safe travel destination. As you know, Sri Lanka is well known for our beaches, our wildlife, and as a travel destination. So we are stamped travel. So Adam, this is your time to start your plan to come to Sri Lanka. And looking at our telecommunication cost, we are ranked among the lowest in the world. And also in terms of internet inclusivity, the Economist ranks us second best in South Asia, having very good indexes in the e-government survey as well. So creating a conducive environment for startups to come and set up, for entrepreneurs to come and work. And we hope that with the situation become okay, we will be able to reignite our event, Disrupt Asia, which we want to make it a regional event in the next few years. Very hopeful that we'll be able to do that. And finally, as Mahinda explained, accelerate our progress towards a startup nation by 2025, and really putting in all our efforts during these 4 years to move on from the activation stage that we are in to the next stage of growth and being featured on Startup Genome, therefore. So thank you for once again for giving us the time to share our thoughts and